hanging with for the next hour and a half.
Blush.
Feeling is mutual. The feeling is mutual. Like, yesterday's stream was so much fun. I had a great time, but I'm like also very, because I think remember you said near the end that you're kind of you're going to this a little bit blind in terms of like the games. So I'm really excited to see what you think, because there's some apps like this. There's some brilliant puzzle games and other kind of enhance adjacent experiences in this. And also I must admit I'm slightly relieved not to be doing the puzzles on this stream, because yesterday that was quite. I mean, it was a lot of fun, but you really feel the stage lights as you're like trying to put people onto blocks across bridges. Gets to you.
By the way, I see in the chat reddish boat has appeared, so everybody to give a clap.
Round of applause, everybody.
Round of applause.
As promised.
Thank you for that. That's great.
Really welcoming in the Dreams community here.
Yes.
Very much appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should start with, if we have people on the stream who are not familiar with Dreams, you want to kind of tee us off and introduce the game?
Yeah, wow.
A big question.
Big question, yeah.
Always the biggest question is like, what is Dreams? And it's one of the most Googled things that brings people to our website. Also, the nice thing you were talking about earlier is like, this is the first non-humanity game on the enhanced stream. But we've picked a lot of stuff in this collection that is, as Jacob's just said, very enhanced adjacent, like kind of a lot of elements or kind of vibes or mechanics that you find in kind of enhanced experiences back catalog. And that is the main thing about Dreams, is that Dreams can sort of be almost anything, which is a very hard concept to explain. It's kind of, it's a creation software. It's a UGC game like Humanity, where you can come in and you can create just about any game experience that you can think of, like kind of 2D platformers, action-adventure games, fighting games, visual novels, but you can also create music and whole albums, beautiful art pieces. You can make them interactive. You can really do anything you can think of on the create side. But then, of course, if you actually don't really fancy creating, there's just a bunch of stuff that you can play. And that is a lot of what the three of us jobs are at Media Molecule, is helping you find really, really good stuff to play. That is my very, very surface level pitch
Excellent
of
job.
Dreams. Have I missed anything? Probably a bajillion things that Jacob and Tom want to jump in with.
I think that was an excellent pitch. Just creation suite, and also a platform with some very strange, some of the strangest, coolest indie games out there at the moment, all just like at your fingertips in a bunch of different curated playlists and collections, and beyond, if you're feeling daring. But yeah, it's as you said, it's out now it's currently on the PS Plus game catalog. There's about 4 years roughly, if we're including the beta of UGC Dreams creations out there to check out, all the history, and still new stuff coming up all the time. We just launched Tren, which is the latest like Media Molecule original creation, which is I think has a lot in common if you're into Humanity, like, and you want like another kind of similar quirky puzzle game. You control a little toy train and you have to complete loads of little obstacle courses and solve some puzzles. I've got some Tren memorabilia behind me as well. But you can also like make Tren tracks as well right now. So if you don't want to make again a full game or art piece, but you do fancy dabbling in some creation, kind of like with Humanity, where it's like you've got a kind of a set rule, you've got a rule set and set like sets and stuff, and you just click them together. Tren and the Tren kit is a really cool way to get started on that. So and I've even got to the creator of Tren, John Beach, looking at me right now with a huge smile on his face. So you know that he approves of that pitch. But yeah, so Dreams is kind of whatever you want to make of it. But I'd say, if you're a creator, it's pretty boundless, and if you're a player and you're just interested in checking out some cool indies, then it's essentially like its own platform, indie platform, right on PlayStation. So yeah, it is a very difficult question though. It's always really tricky to sum up succinctly, but hopefully that covers the foundation of it.
Yeah, and you guys have a lot of really great playlists in that Dream surfing area. For people who are just jumping into Dreams for the first time, like that's a great place to just kind of explore and see what's available. You know, Tren is a great place to hop into what the Dreams experience is, but then you also always have like a nice collection of games and creations in here that, you know, if you're new to Dreams, like just exploring that is super fun.
Thank you very much. That's lovely to hear. Yeah, Dream Surfing very much is kind of our almost pseudo storefront platform for all the cool things people make. We've got MMPix here, which is like our little badge of approval. We stream obviously a lot of Dreams creations every week. We have like genre pages where we get a little bit more granular, so you can like go and see if you want to see some action games, some music videos, albums, or horror games. A very popular horror scene in Dreams.
Oh yeah.
And a very popular puzzle scene, of course, as well, as we'll see on this stream. But yeah, there's a ton of like little mini communities in Dreams as well that people like. You know, if you're a fan of like backroom stuff, liminal spaces, like there's a ton of that in Dreams. And yeah, there's just you know, you can kind of go as deep as you want to, but as you said, like if you just want to jump in and check out stuff, we've organized the front page in a way that hopefully you can get into a game within seconds. We can play Trauma if you want us. It's gonna be quite the different stream to like why.
I will say that the name is kind of clickbait, and that door was inviting me, so I had to click on it.
I'm glad that it's working then. I'm glad that the
A
door
bunch
is
of
inviting.
dreamers have really perfected the art of marketing and catchy titles. It's truly amazing. You were telling us
That's
about
fantastic.
the easiest humanity level yesterday. Like we've got a lot of
the easiest stage,
a lot of people who also know how to pique players' interests. Yeah.
So cool. Well, should we hop into some of the creations that are on the list, on the enhanced list?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's.
I think we could start with. We had some recommendations for a few to start with, and we could start with the art here, the floofy Shiba. I have no idea what to expect.
We had to get one Shiba in. It's just a lot. I mean, how, you know, it's quite cheeky. It's quite a cheeky little Shiba, I must say. But I think, you know, it's the best. It's one of the best Shibas in the Dreamiverse for sure. We were talking earlier as well before about creator in the Dreams community called Yardare as well, who's very much adjacent with the Shiba scene. She is an amazing kind of Shiba VTuber personality, and you know, this there's a lot. So there's surprisingly some good, you know, well maybe not surprisingly, but like, you know, there's whatever you want to look for in Dreams, there's a good chance there's some like little like representation of it. So like there's obviously Yardare, and there's this you know, floofy Shiba, an incredible sculpt, again very very sly and cheeky, but they look amazing.
My favorite mini game half the time in Dreams is to go into the search bar and just think of something super esoteric or specific and be like, how many of this is there? So I'll go and search like power drill.
So that was an
Some-
example of an art piece that's just
Right.
an image that you look at, right? Okay.
Yeah, we just thought a fun. Yeah, again, when we made this collection, so we have to get some Shiba representation in. So the little sneaky bonus. But there's a lot of amazing
That's
art
awesome.
pieces like that where you can just like look at a static environment or a sculpture, or maybe it'll be like a dynamic environment you can walk around and explore. There's a lot of that in Dreams. You know, if you're a fan of stuff like, you know, walking sims, or even just like, you're the kind of person who goes on like Google Street View or Google Earth and just like walks around like places just to get like to feel immersed in. There's a lot of kind of stuff like that in Dreams where you can just, someone's made like a whole environment or a mountain range that you can go on like a virtual hike and stuff like that.
Very cool.
So that is like very much just a sculpture, but at the same time the sculptures in Dreams is a huge scene. We've got some amazing artists and sculptors there that just constantly blow us away. I'm looking forward to seeing your reaction to this one. This is again a bit of a vintage creation, but I thought this would be a really good example of a synesthesia adjacent game, because obviously with Enhance your history is very much rooted in you know, games like Res and Tetris Effect and the educational side as well of exploring the impact of synesthesia and the effects. And this is an amazing audiovisual kind of high score / puzzle game where you're essentially trying to create chains of like color explosions and ripples, and the aim is you want to create these chain reactions where you only get a very limited number of presses, because each press costs you like a point, and you get more points by creating more ripples. So you need to be careful about where you put your ripples, but then you can create the more chain reactions and the more ripples you can create, the more points you can get, and then you can get upgrades and just create really nice looking visualizers, really.
Awesome.
This is
The effect
kind of
reminds me of.
reminding
Go ahead.
Go ahead, say it.
Missile Command?
Missile Command.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Both on a perfectly same wavelength there. That was beautiful.
But, you know, like reclaiming the destructive implications of Missile Command into something a lot more chill. A lot more chill.
Absolutely.
I love it. But yeah, this is the kind of game that you can very much get like hypnotized by and lose quite a lot of time to. It took me, when I very first played this game out, it took me a little bit of time to like understand how to really maximize my points. But once you kind of get like the mechanics and you create some, you can create like chain reactions that are like in the tens, maybe even in the hundreds for one press. Once you get started getting higher points, and then you really just it's very easy to get addicted. Yeah, see, now you start getting power-ups as well. Like, you got the slow bloom because you've got like a certain threshold, and then you can get like, you know, multiple blooms at once, and so on and so forth.
Oh, this is very chill. I could sit here and look at this for a while.
It's so satisfying to just watch, isn't it?
Yeah.
It reminds me of like
we
a
have
screensaver that I just can't look away from.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like Windows energy for sure. CJ, I think it was you yesterday talking about bringing up the idea of toy games, which is like my activation phrase. There's a bunch of great ones in Dreams that kind of, this is almost more of a gamified one, but there's a bunch of kind of sensory experience. Dreams and Chill, actually, like this one gives me vibes of.
Yeah, totally.
Much more about kind of controlling the flow of something, almost like the crowd in Humanity, and kind of just vibing with the visuals. Visualizers and things like that. I always love that, especially when people set their original music to it as well. Sumacest, some amazing stuff.
Sumacest is incredible.
Yeah.
We do have a playlist in, I think, the music and rhythm genre page, which is called Creations to like Study, Work and Relax to, which is basically full of that kind of thing. So anything that's like very chill, visualizers, music videos, a couple of games like this, they're on the relaxing, just vibe out side of things.
Very cool.
Or like Ed Hargrave's little, what's the
Joy? Sticks of Joy. Sticks of Joy. Yeah, like little toys. Yeah,
it's like a 3D contraptions, basically 3D models, and you can kind of hit the switches and rotate the joysticks and things, and you're kind of jamming out on this little thing. It's like a little virtual instrument, a set of them, which is amazing, from Ed Hargrave. So
Aiken in the YouTube chat says that Bloomshine looks interesting, and he had a question about PS Plus. Dreams is on PS Plus.
We are
now,
indeed.
So
we are indeed.
Part of the PS Plus game catalog. So if you have the essential level PS Plus, you can download Dreams right now and hop into Bloomshine.
I believe we're on Essential for another week or so, and then we'll be on the game catalog. So we're on right now the game catalog, but Essential, extra and premium, but we're on Essential as well until I think next week. So
yeah, that's right.
it's hot.
Yes.
I'm already addicted. This is about to be the only Dream we play today. But
getting the hang of it now, Austin.
Honestly, it's so hypnotic. I've played this game probably for about over an hour once in one session, like sitting watching the colours. Because once you get in the swing of it, like, you see what I mean. You're now on like 58 points. It's like, when are you going to stop?
Right, I see they get really expensive, so.
Yeah. But you've also got the tactics down. And you get all these. Once you see like 20 of them crossing over, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, this is cool.
Oh, that was a big one. Oh, third box.
Aiken asking all the wrong questions. PSVR required, they say? No, they're not required for this. We're playing flat. But it is a PSVR 1 supported title.
Well. So what Jacob was talking about with the kind of amazing explorable worlds earlier, that's always a really fun thing. I like using the PSVR for. So yeah, it's optional. But if you do own PSVR 1, you can, like, a bunch of this stuff kind of just works out the box with VR. And sometimes creators go in and kind of tune it specifically for VR. But, things like the 3D kind of worlds that people make, you just pop your headset on and you're in it, you're walking around. But then we also, of course, have a bunch of great things that people have specifically made for VR. Grocery Store 2 was a horror game that came out recently, where you're being chased by a huge kind of muscly, or stalked really, around a kind of darkened grocery store, and you're trying to complete your shopping list. And it is absolutely terrifying trying to do that while you've kind of got this Slender Man-esque but huge thing kind of stomping around the aisles. That's a recent.
It's actually from the creator as well as another game in this collection too, which is fun.
Yeah.
And the other one that comes to mind is like Imagination VR Dinosaurs. Is a fun one.
Oh,
You're going on like a little tour around a dinosaur. Basically, you're just going on you're in like a jeep and you're going around some like dinosaur scenes, but it's very cinematic and like obviously the longer as you go on, they might start invading the jeep, start throwing things at it, start clawing at it, and it's very very cool.
By the way,
so you also moved on. Oh, you go on. Sorry.
I'm realizing that Jacob and Tom, your names are switched in.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
This is actually you've accidentally contributed to a wonderful in-joke by doing that. So.
A lot of people have noted how similar me and Jacob sound. So this only plays into the lore.
So should we just roll with it? I think I had you right on the other scene. It must have messed up on this one, so I apologize. But
it's all good. We've literally had. I remember we had one time. There was Lisa, who's one of our works on our audio team, was doing like mic tests for a stream, and she said, "Oh, Jacob, like talking to just do some tests." And I started talking, and she was like, "No, Tom, shut up." She just genuinely believed it was not. It was Tom, not me. But that's.
We like to mess with people as well, and. We'll have them replace each other for certain scenes on streams. I think we did once. Did we? Or did we just...
Well, when we started doing streams in the office again, we still wore masks. And Jake was on a stream remotely, and I was on in person, and it was a disaster.
We did like a voice dub over at some point. And, with the mask kind of covering the face, seeing if anyone would notice. We just like to mess with our community. They love it.
It's good that we can play into the lore.
It was intentional. Yeah.
100%. You knew.
This and the reddish boat thing. You're already one of us.
Yeah. There we go.
Indoctrinated.
So what was the name of this game again?
Cubic Maze.
Cubic Maze.
Cubic Maze. Okay.
This is
humanity vibes.
Yeah.
A little bit too.
I really love this one because it's a very cool take on a classic puzzle subgenre, which is the age-old sliding block grid. Which I'll be honest, I usually hate these puzzles. Whenever they show up in like a game, I'll be like, oh no, I'm gonna be on this for hours. But what I love about this one, it really does twist it in a fun way. So you're controlling this. You can see Austin playing. You're controlling this little cube character. Obviously, your goal is to get to the end of the maze, but you can move all the pieces around, but you can only move them when the character's on a white circle. And that means that you can do stuff like, I'll go on the white circle, move this block around to make myself a route. But then you can obviously go to another white circle later on and then change the route again. So you're not locked into the configuration. You can do clever things like having to move around the maze and then change the maze as you're going on multiple times. And as someone was just saying in chat, Zankloth, there's loads of levels in it. Like I want to say about 60. I might even be wrong there. It might be more than that. But I'd say this is it's definitely a multi-hour game alone. If you're into like sliding block puzzles, like this is an absolute treat, and it's really polished and again such a cool idea. Even though this is like still the easy category, it doesn't take long before it gets like quite grueling. Especially if like your brain isn't necessarily like tuned to these kind of like mine. If it's not tuned to sliding grids, you will get stuck quite fast. But it's really cool. It's such a unique concept, and this creator's done quite a few puzzle games in this style as well. This is just like one of many that I really enjoy.
And you can tell as well they're one of the many creators in Dreams that really impress with their ability to create a very sophisticated difficulty curve that I'm like, wow, they're not people who have access to a bunch of things. Like, where are people bouncing out of the game? These people with just incredible instincts. And I think there's a lot of playtesting that goes on in the Dreams community between creators as well, to be like, is this level too hard? And like, kind of how do we do that? So there's so much kind of sophisticated thinking that goes into puzzle games in particular in Dreams from hobbyist creators, really. It's like always super impressive how elegant that turns out to be, and how many hours you do get kind of sucked into these things, because they have a great sense for, especially this creator, how to pitch difficulty level and teach concepts as you go. Just humanity's very good at it.
Yeah, I'm only on level 3, and I feel like I have to
Yeah.
some work, so I can tell this would be a long game.
Yeah, you can only imagine what it's like when you actually get to the levels that they label as hard. Like
Right.
it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild how far they go. But yeah, I think you got it. You got it. I think. Yeah.
Moving forward.
Captain Duck saying nice, that's a lot of game. That's the thing, I feel like a little bit of a potentially unfair misconception about Dreams is, it's just full of a bunch of short games and not full experiences. And it's like, it is full of a bunch of short games and like cool concept pieces. But there are so many like double-digit hour-length games in Dreams from creators who've made full game experiences that you can get sucked into for hours on end. We've just had the new Pig Detective game, The Beast of Boffington, come out. That's one of those. I mean, I should throw it over to Tom to talk about Pig Detective because that is like Dreams history. But it's just like one of a number of teams that work on releasing like fully fleshed out and like generous runtime games in Dreams. So yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, like Pig Detective talks to such a strength of Dreams from the get-go, where it's a team of 5. I mean, there's a few more people involved now, but like a core team of 5 that have never met in real life, all from the different corners of the world, and have managed to evolve this series, which revolves around a legitimate pig detective. And it's basically like a point-and-click adventure game that has become this pure mystery solver, like a bunch of mini games involved, fully voice acted now, featuring a load of like Media Molecule people. So it's kind of like part of Dreams history. And yeah, the latest one is their most gamey of games, and it's just phenomenal. Just having this group of people that have never met, never would have met if it wasn't for Dreams, gift us this experience that would exist nowhere else. Which is always one of like things like Bloomshine and stuff. Obviously, are again testament to that. Like people have got an idea, and because of and obviously I'm biased, but the ease of creating in Dreams has allowed them to bring it to life where they might not have been able to in the first place.
Right. What's the split in terms of like groups of people who create something together versus just solo creators?
I think Jacob can probably speak a bit more, but like I think it's quite down the middle. Like we have some really strong single creators who have only ever worked on their own, but then we've got teams like Pig Detective who create the quality is just so sky high no matter what. But yeah, Jacob, I guess you.
Yeah, I think that's fair though. I think we've always championed the idea of remixing and collaboration. We do have a lot of like really strong, again as you said, some like single creators who are known for like very specific styles, specific genre. But then we have like it's a very nice like sliding scale, I'd say, where my lights are going out. That's a shame. I plummeted into darkness. I will quickly. I don't know. That was very dramatic, though. I love that. Okay.
It was.
And you can talk about. I was going to talk about Dreams Fest and stuff, so you can talk about Dreams Fest and like resume the lighting situation.
Yeah, that's the one we probably all have on our minds. It's like it's hard to tell, honestly. Like there's so many creators, like that. There's no way we're ever going to get that specific information. But we specifically love supporting things like Dreams Fest, which is a community-run music festival, basically in Dreams, where I think it started in was it 21? The first one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they put together this amazing kind of virtual venue that you could explore, and this kind of cast of NPCs. And what they did is they got the community to submit their own like musical performances, animated original songs, the musical performances, but also like some people would animate their characters doing the magic show, all sorts of different things, kind of tributes to lost family members, which is like super emotional. And the organizers, in the community kind of put all these submissions together and made this huge explorable music festival, which was unbelievable and very similar to what we've done with our own events in Dreams. And indeed the community have now taken over a DreamsCon, which is another very similar kind of event where you take submissions and it's people submitting their own like booths, basically, like almost like a trade show where people go, oh, it's the summer, here's a booth advertising this next project I'm making in Dreams, or here's a booth all about what my like art assets I've made that you can use in your creations, or here's a booth that's just like a snack stand because I thought it was cute. And the other community have kind of taken over Dreamscom, and they're continuing to run it and have done this year. So you can walk around this amazing creators convention. So basically, yeah, that's a long story short, and I should probably throw it over to Jacob. But I think we really like to encourage collaboration, because every time we see people working together, like, we love individual superstars and that's mind-blowing, but something we've always been really passionate about is trying to support people who work together to make something so much bigger that often brings a lot of people from all over the world together. Like, I remember Dreams Fest. It's like every summer I'm like, yeah, I'll get a pizza in and play Dreams Fest and tweet out like all the cool things I'm finding in it. And we've always like really admired how the Dreams community come together to create moments like that. Even beyond games. Sometimes it's like, it's an event.
Yeah, that's really Dreams Fest for me is like obviously the seminal kind of good example of a really massive collaboration. But we do get like, what I also see is when you do get like the surprise collaborations of those like aforementioned solo creators will sometimes band together and make something like really, really cool or unique together. Like one creation, like in this collection, for instance, that jumps to mind is something like Chip Off the Old Block, which is made by like two creators, Ghost Fruit and Vince Cully, who both of those creators do a lot on their own and they're very much known for their styles, but then they like would unexpectedly collaborate and make something really weird and fun together. And then sometimes you'll have like something as massive as Page Detective with like 30, 40 people, and then you'll still get creations. Sometimes you'll get creations that are solo projects or two people, but then they'll have collaborators to play test or to do voice acting or to do music. We get music a lot where it'll be a solo project, but they'll get a musician, like someone. We've got people like Bumbleberg, for instance, who often like does music for other dreamers. They won't be involved in like the development from the start, but they'll do like a soundtrack for them or something, and that's like always really cool to see. So I mean, the nature of Dreams being so multidisciplinary is that people can collaborate in a lot of different ways. Like, you do get people who collaborate right from the start, you get people who collaborate throughout the process, maybe towards right even at the end of the process, but it's really up to the creators basically. And yeah, seeing that variety is really cool. It's always a fun surprise when we get a new creation from like a bunch of people we recognize all working together for the first time. It's always a treat to try and like see how it's all going to go. And yeah, this is obviously Chip Off the Old Block right here, which, Ghost Fruit is a little bit of an enigmatic creator, obviously, because they do a lot of different. They're always really polished, but they never necessarily settle down on like one genre or one style. They've tackled a load of different, like everything from high score to music, and this is obviously a puzzle game they made with Vince Cully, who similarly, Vince has done a ton of different stuff from like music to games and all sorts. They're definitely a bit of a polymath in Dreams, and this is obviously very much inspired by Sokoban, a classic like block puzzle type, which again I'm sure Humanity fans will be familiar with to some degree, but just presented in such a playful, hilarious way. And again, lovely difficulty curve as well. There's a fair few levels in this one, and it really gently cranks it up. I mean, I'd say this level is probably where it starts getting a bit more challenging. So I'm curious to see if it's definitely possible. I think you could do it, but like you'll see like how it already kind of gets more complicated. Okay. It's very cool. Yeah,
it's very nice. Purely from a biased personal level, it's very nice watching someone else have to tackle these, because normally it's me trying to work it out, and I get to sit here being like, I have no idea how to do this, but it's not my problem.
Yeah, I could be publicly humiliated in my puzzle solving skills.
Now, what would you say is like a good place for people to jump into Dreams? Like, what would you suggest, like if they were thinking about creating in Dreams especially?
Yeah, cool. I'd say if you're creating, like, we've got a bunch of really cool kits and tutorials. There's like obviously literally a tutorial called Start Dreaming, which will show you all the real fundamentals like camera control and placing items and placing assets and stuff. But I'd say about a year and a half ago, we added a bunch of like templates and kits. So we have like a 2D platformer template, like a 2D shooter template, mini golf template, and we have one for Tren as well, which is excellent. A really cool starting point as well, to be honest, where it essentially gives you a bunch of assets and logic already kind of baked in, and then it's like gives you kind of as you create, it gives you little like tips and objectives to help you like make a level or make a game, and that's a really nice way of getting started. Also, we have a ton of curated kits from us at and also community curated kits, and of like everything from assets to game genres, game types. One of my favorite ones that we ever did was one called Dream Homes, where we were looking at games like The Sims and thinking of people who make like little houses and stuff. And that's a little kit that we made where it's essentially a collection of house templates and then loads of furniture assets made by the community that you can just like drag and drop in. So these kits exist all over the Dreamiverse if you just search for them, and also look in playlists and dream shaping. Yeah, get there. Nice. Well done. That level is like it's like the equivalent of like a first boss in a Souls-like. You get past summation. If you get past summation, like you're ready.
I'd say it's above that in terms of height.
Yeah.
You'd Exgundir of dreams, of chip off the old block. Yeah, I love Dream Homes so much. Like that was such a fun kit to put together as someone who is obsessed with like decorating virtual spaces. That's a great one. Like if you just want to jump in, you want to kind of start setting stuff down and be like, oh, fun, kind of stamping in other people's assets that they've made. It's just automatically great access to all that stuff. And then of course you can just drop a puppet in, or like a first-person puppet, and kind of possess it and walk around and admire everything up close, and that's really fun. I think something as simple as just like putting in a bit of ground or a house, and then picking a puppet and putting that in, and then switching to play mode and kind of wandering around, and you get used to kind of play testing as you go, because you can really easily switch between kind of play and edit mode with the options button. So then you kind of go in and you'll set out some platforms, and you'll go in and you'll be like, I kind of need to maybe tune that jump a little bit more, or the distance between the platforms. And very quickly kind of at least I think you start to get a sense for kind of what's up. But yeah, those kind of play and edit tutorials that kind of like guided step by step are a really great place to kind of learn about maybe a few little bit of design fundamentals, as well as like the kind of nuts and bolts of plugging together kind of the logic in Dreams. But I'd also say as well that the community is so helpful. Let's go, Austin. And super active on places like Twitter or X now, and there's a big Reddit community as well. So even though it can be a bit like, it's a bit intimidating to reach out to other people and ask for help with kind of your first creation, couldn't ask for a nicer bunch.
Yeah, a lot of our community are very down for it.
And they pull together a lot of resources around it, like, yeah.
That's what's been so nice with like launch another plug, launching onto Plus, like just the knowledge that as we've seen over the last 5 years, however long it's been, like every time there's a new player comes in or a new creator comes in, our community is so ready to just welcome them in, give them advice, help them out, offer to collab. And like going into Plus, it was like obviously it's appealing to like opening up to a whole different kind of audience. But it's just been amazing to see and of course they will do this, but of course we knew this was going to happen, but like it's been amazing to see it, like just them with their open arms, like these people who are there, who have probably got more curiosity than like knowledge before, just welcoming in all these new people, all these new players, like jumping onto streams, giving people recommendations on what to play or what to do. So it's just a huge shout out to our community as always, because it just creates an amazing atmosphere, a safe space, which we've always wanted for Dreams. Basically good community, well done.
Good vibes. We got Multimu in the chat actually from our lot saying they've got the platinum for Humanity and Dreams. So
all right,
excellent,
wonderful, well done.
Humanity Platinum is pretty difficult.
Yeah, both quite difficult platinums to be honest. That is an achievement. I remember. I've yet to get the Humanity Platinum, but I was trying for a little bit. But you definitely made it quite tricky. There's some fiendish ones. There's some fiendish ones in there.
Some fiendish Goldie, especially.
Yeah. So a couple of rough Goldie puzzles, but that took me a long time.
But yeah, banger game. I love that. I'm a big fan of Ghost Fruit 64 who collaborated on that. One thing we do as well at MM is we have a community blog called the Insider, which I run, and Jacob comes and guests on quite frequently as well, where we kind of write mini reviews of a lot of things in Dreams, and also do creator profiles sometimes. We did one on Ghost Fruit 64, if you're curious about, as Jacob was saying, very mercurial, super multi-talented game and art creator and musician. He's also now a tattoo artist as well. Absolutely incredible.
Oh, wow.
So he's a
Multi-talented.
It's wild, but he has some amazing things to say. We did kind of an interview, so that's published over on our indreams.me blog on the Imp Cider, if anyone's curious to see more Ghost Fruit and more of what that collaborator's done. No plug.
CJ, any ideas on what we should dive into next here?
So many options.
Yeah.
So many. What was that monochromatic one up in there in the right corner?
Oh,
Yeah.
this one?
Yeah, this looks fun.
Oh, this is fun. This is quite different actually from anything you've played so far. So this is a nice
Okay.
one. This was inspired by, again, I won't go into too many spoilers, but we did talk about it on yesterday's stream, so I assume it's fair game a little bit. This is a little bit inspired by like the second half of Humanity, where it gets a little bit more strategy focused and involves some robots, to say no more. But this is a really, really cool, very nostalgic, like beautifully presented strategy game. Again, with a really nice difficulty curve, as you'll see. So you start off with just this one robot here, and you just move it around that yellow 3x3 grid, and whatever row it's on, obviously, it will start automatically shooting whatever comes the enemy robots coming towards it. And as you survive more and more waves, you unlock more units you can use at your disposal, each with different weapons or abilities, and then it kind of becomes a little micromanagement game of having to like position, obviously, where to put all the different units, but also as you get more and more units, you will kind of get almost overwhelmed with options, and it'll be like, okay, who do I want to put on the field at what times? Like right now, you're basically playing like a top-down wave shooter, but eventually it becomes a lot more strategy focused.
Awesome.
But the like kind of the CRT, like almost green scale presentation here is like so unique. I mean, there's a few other games in Dreams like this, but honestly, I think this is one that really stands out in my memory. Of like, just has an aesthetic that I don't think there's really any other Dream really captures quite like this, which is always really special to see. We have a lot of talented again artists
The colour.
yeah.
What's cool about this? What's cool about the look of this, right? Is like the visuals. It's just a slider.
Yeah.
So like in the
Yeah.
mode of Dreams,
Like
like you can apply a filter that just makes it look like 8-bit, 16-bit, 64-bit. So it's so easy to achieve that. Really accessible. You don't have to worry about it. And of course, you can just design it from the ground up to look like that as well. But like you can create and then just flick a slider, and you achieve this look. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's
So
why
another
it's so
kind
clever. Yeah.
Like Ghosts and Goblins kind of game called Have You Seen My Pants that
Personal fave.
uses the similar filter kind of achieve this very kind of surrealist and retro effect. Wild with the color palette, but yeah, it's really cool. And then of course we do have people who hand build and hand place kind of pixels, and that is a whole other art style that looks super clean and beautiful. Paolo Ramirez is probably the person we should shout out for that. He's done some amazing kind of 2D side scroller stuff that is like every pixel hand placed. So yeah, but yeah, like Tom says, it's a matter of if you want to make something that's kind of a bit of an homage to like PS1 era stuff. You just go, "Whoop."
Yeah, this is super cool. It reminds me of Plants vs. Zombies, which I've played a fair amount of.
Absolutely. Definitely huge inspiration on this one, yeah. So I think you've got that one at the top now, you've got a shield as well, which you can pop down. I think that deflects anything that comes on that row, which you can use to like deflect those huge projectiles. But obviously, again, you have to like move the shield around so you can shoot at the enemies as well. And yeah, there's a playlist on I believe it's the puzzle genre for strategy games as well. So there's a lot more where this came from if you're looking for like turn-based or like tower defense games. And again, this one made me laugh just because it does remind me a little bit of like the machines in Humanity as well. Like trying to defend against them with different abilities and that. It's really, definitely. When I was thinking of when I was putting this together, it felt like an inevitable inclusion, but. And the cool thing actually is this is a nice one to shout out actually, because this is technically Meta Rebels 2, but it's the same Dream as when it launched. So another thing that's cool in Dreams that we see from a lot of creators is they create like their own version of either like live games, or they'll come back to games and update them. So I think with Meta Rebels, it started out, it definitely still looked like this and played like this, but they did a big update, which they branded as V2, but it's the same Dream, and then they added like a bunch of new items, a bunch of new abilities, new music and stuff, bug fixes and that. We've had obviously we've got like a few other Dreams at the minute. There's one that was nominated for for an MP called Sword of Arcana, which is like this open world JRPG inspired game, and that's like being periodically added to every few months with like new worlds, new combat mechanics and stuff like that. So it's always another cool thing with Dreams, is just like following Dreams and following these big projects and creators, like adding to them and taking feedback, and like not just from like playtesters, but from the community as well. Like they'll release it publicly and then get feedback and then add to it, and that's always really cool, a cool part of the process too.
Yeah, just like the humanity kind of playlist we were looking at earlier with the, there's one where a creator's doing kind of chapters in different levels. We're all kind of following the saga of the kind of backrooms epic that a creator called Mark is making, and they're kind of updating the Dream with like new chapters and new levels. So it's super cool to kind of follow along that and get like a little notification that, oh my gosh, there's a new chapter out. So similar vibes.
That's amazing. Yeah, so you could come up with like an idea for a game and then see how the community reacts and then iterate on that. The same.
Which is
Dream
like,
ID.
Yeah, which is exactly what this creator Jen mentioned, Marshall Count, has done, is like taken feedback on board and like has actually started just remaking just before they got to the final episode.
It was very cruel.
Just to torture us.
Very cool.
Started remaking the entire series, which was based on the feedback and everything they've got. And like we saw the same with the pig. Like we saw a spate of like remastered Dreams games, where people would go back and like apply their learnings to like their first creations, and it, like just as you saw in the industry, you'd see games get remastered or remade. It was so much fun.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who live stream dev as well. Elka Gaming, Pierogigon. So that's always exciting as well, to go into Twitch and a lot. And we mentioned Yardet earlier, who also kind of takes suggestions from chat, and that's very much part of kind of her creation process and the idea for a lot of her creations. So always amazing to see that unfold. Dax saying in chat, like watching people play their stuff on Twitch and then going away and. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know how many people like you think, CJ, go back and remake their humanities stages. Probably not too many.
Not too many, but it happens on occasion. The unfortunate thing with humanity is that it becomes a completely new creation if you were to like go in and make a change and re-upload. But we've seen it on occasion. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially if someone finds a cheese in a level.
Right, yeah.
Of course.
We will see people do like a V2 of their level because a cheese was discovered.
Yeah, during before the beta, Mark McDonald, our producer, was creating a level called Alley Oopsie, and we kept cheesing. There was like multiple cheeses to his level, and then by the fifth iteration of the level, it was like, okay, this is pretty stalwart, difficult to beat. But yeah, I guess it is probably the most likely reason someone would want to recreate their level.
Yeah, I think internally we were going back and forth with videos about how we had solved that one in a way that Mark did not intend. And then he would change it. Yeah.
Oh, we get the same. We get these long Slack threads, especially about puzzle games. There's one that came out recently called Daily Observer that we've been obsessed with, and it's like a real-time puzzle game, basically by one of our most kind of talented puzzle creators in the Dreamverse, Pixel Gorilla, who also made Lock. But it's like a real-time game, so you have to log on every day to kind of complete your chores. You're on this tiny spaceship in outer space, and you kind of have to observe the planets that you come across and kind of synthesize new aliens via this video game to kind of have them infest planets and build constellations in this kind of like Picross Sudoku combo thing. But then there's also this kind of like mystery unfolding around the spaceship, and if you find that you poke at certain places, you start to uncover kind of strange things and codes and ciphers, and you can grow plants as well, but there's only so much you can do per day, so you keep logging on each day to be like, oh, I've got to kind of do my chores and my mini games, and then maybe also I'll poke at something else and see if that kind of pops open another panel somewhere. It's like and we just had the longest Slack thread in the history of the world.
Yeah, many
have
chats.
you done this? Have you done this thing? And trying not to spoil it for each other because it's so open as well.
Right.
That sounds amazing.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
Pixel
fun.
Gorilla is a very talented, I mean, not just a puzzle creator, but their puzzle games are absolutely incredible. Like Press X to Puzzle and Lock and Daily Observer are all essentials if you're a puzzle fan in Dreams. I mean, yeah, Daily Observer is particularly is one of my personal favorites of this year's released creations. Just because you do have like that layer of, you have the puzzle game, like the puzzles in the game, and then you have this like meta layer of the secret puzzles, the whole game being a bit of a puzzle, which I love. I'm always fond of that, very Inscription-esque. And but then you also have, you know, puzzle games like this one we're playing, like Loki Doku, where it's a lot more, you know, it's again like very evocative of, you know, Tetris obviously, but then definitely its own take where it's a lot more, you know, on the surface a lot more straightforward, but it's all about just really refined design and mechanics and really good like game feel. And again, once you get the hang of it, it's one of those games you find it quite difficult to stop playing because and it even also has you can play it in 2-player locally as well, which is really nice. This is a really fun one to play with friends, and you can it's basically, again, very simple. You're just popping down blocks, trying to fill up either squares or a row or column of 16, and then they disappear, and then you just got to try and do that as many times as you want. I think on Classic, you can pretty much go forever until you post your score. There's also like a time attack mode where you have to do as many in 5 minutes. There's a chill mode where it's just about enjoying the music and the scenery, going back to the lo-fi thing. So yeah, this is again a bit of a Dreams classic. This has been around for a while, but it never gets old. And again, it still remains like quite unique to this day. Yeah, it's such a polished, just purely fun creation.
I love the mechanics mashup. Like, my favorite thing about this is learning painfully over time that you have to try and not paint yourself into corners.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar with Tetris. It's like, you know, an even wider playing field where you're like, yeah, this makes sense, and like, this is easy, and then all of a sudden you're like, there are things where I really don't need them to be. So it's amazing how that kind of sophistication comes across over time. And it tricks you into thinking it's chill.
Very nice soundtrack on this though as well. Like, again, really, I know we've chatted about music before on the stream, but really important to emphasize, I guess, that Dreams has got a really fun, really accessible music creation tool. We'll see like both creators making their own soundtracks and also like them curating community music, because obviously you can just release a song as an element and then use that in your own creation. So this is the kind of perfect showpiece for that, where you can just gather a bunch of cool lo-fi tunes and have this game to almost showcase them. Yeah, I mean, lo-fi music especially is actually, like, of all the creative tools in Dreams, I mean, music is probably the one I've personally dabbled the most in, and lo-fi music is actually pretty easy and like quite nice to, if you want to just get like a lo-fi song going, you can get a beat going quite quickly. Obviously there's a lot of like flourishes that only the true pros will be able to perfect, but if you just want to get like a nice little beat going, very chill, like drum and bass or something, that it's very easy to do that, which is really very good for a game like this.
Yeah, I was about to ask about the music creation process, because I actually wasn't too sure, and that would make sense that you'd have your own tool within Dreams so that it's all available to be used, right?
Well, your friend Reddish Boat can tell you some tales about music creation in Dreams. Yeah, there he is in chat. Yeah, it's completely wild. We have so many people doing incredible things with it, and really innovative things as well. Like, not only just making like entire albums, soundtracks, incredible sound design, but one creator who I absolutely love, R.A. Keogh, made one of the most incredible pieces of horror music. It was almost like an art experience called Spookio's Monster. It was part of a Halloween community jam, I think. And it's a piece of music that is haunted. And so it actually shows you, the kind of interface that you make music in dreams. Kind of gives you a behind the curtain look. And then as the music goes on, it starts to play with it in a very freaky, unexpected way. And that was like something that has always stuck in my mind. It's like, oh my gosh, like they're not just amazing, talented musicians out here. They're also pulling off some real wild, kind of innovative, creative stuff. I've never seen anything like that kind of before or since, really. That was wild. Big recommend to that.
I think that's like what you were talking about yesterday about how people are using both our games, both Dreams and Humanity, in ways that you just did not expect.
Mm-hmm.
Like just from the get-go, like no one would ever have said to us, "Oh yeah, someone's gonna make a haunted music track." That's gonna the most we ever thought was like, "Oh, someone will create an amazing album." And that would be like Alex Evans, our old tech director, who birthed the engine and the game that it is. Like that's as far as he would be able to think. Even him would be like would be able to predict that kind of stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, I guess with Humanity, like you mentioned, we didn't expect some of the things that were created, but with Dreams, the amount of tools you have are so vast, I suppose, that literally any as creative as a person is, they could probably output something unique onto that screen, right? So
for sure, but I think as well, like you obviously you folks have like launched in the last few months. I guarantee you, like this time next year, people will have done stuff with your game where you're just like, what?
Oh, definitely, yeah, I don't doubt that.
Yeah,
we still see like we were talking about yesterday, we still see new things within the limited tool set that Humanity has. So
what you're talking about with the maths and the logic and like having created that,
calculators and stuff,
is wild. Like I would not have expected that from looking at the bones of that game.
Why don't we try that Little Perspective game?
Little Perspective.
Oh yeah, this is a treat.
Oh,
this is
this
from
is
the creator of that grocery store game we were talking about earlier. So this is RBD Jellyfish. Actually, they made this again quite early Dreams, but they actually now work at Media Molecule from the community. Yeah, shout out Tad. And this game is just absolutely sublime. Again, I think it will be very appealing to fans of Humanity. It evokes kind of puzzle classics like Echo Chrome, probably most notably. So you're controlling this cube alongside like block-based levels, and I believe it's and then you can basically switch the camera perspective around the cube, and by doing that, you will notice that you can create like new paths based on the perspective of the camera. There you go. So if you spin it around, now I can create a bridge. Again, it's a very high concept pitch, but it never gets old, and it's beautifully presented. And this was within the first year or two of Dreams, and I remember this was, for me at least, so this is before I worked at Media Molecule. I remember when I saw the trailer and I saw the gameplay, I couldn't believe that someone had actually managed to do this, because it explains itself just through the gameplay. You don't really need to almost sell it or pitch it, because you can just see the gameplay, be like, oh my gosh, that is cool. But even then, just the way that Tad continues to remix that concept and find new ways to make it very clever in each successive level, just never gets old. And one other thing, kind of going on a previous sort of conversation with this, is that they actually did then release a kit of all the assets in this game, and for a period of time there was a flurry of basically a Little Perspective, what I could call like mods or expansion packs, which are essentially people remixing that kit and making like not just one level, but some people are making like 5 to 10 levels as like little Perspective sequels or expansions, and then actually updated the game to include some of them natively inside the main game itself. So there's a few that are other Dreams outside, but then there are some that are actually in this game as well. They're like community contributions. So, and as you can tell, like just from the mechanics, because they included all the logic in the kit for like the camera and the perspective swapping, it's actually surprisingly quite easy to put the level together for yourself. Yeah. It's just a matter of putting the blocks together and making the paths. Like you don't really have to worry about, I don't know how to do the logic for the perspective shifting. Like it's all done for you. So it's just another good example of an ingenious game combined with an ingenious kit.
I still, after these years, we've known about this game has been in my eyes for nearly 3 years. I still do not understand how it works. Like, I'm watching you play and I'm just like, how? Like, you just have to accept that it works.
Yeah, it gives me it reminds me a lot of a game outside of Dreams that I really love called Superliminal, where it's basically like if you see it, when you see it with your eyes, it makes sense, but like it shouldn't somehow. It's almost like dream logic-y, where it's like, yeah, it's purely if it looks like you can do it, like that is reality. Appearance is reality. Viewfinder as well is another one outside of Dreams. It came out more specifically. That's kind of another one of those, and it's always such a great like party trick for a game. It has that wow factor, but then like as Jacob was saying as well, some of the kind of the puzzle design fundamentals in this, and the way that they kind of teach what you can actually really accomplish with this idea is just remarkable all on its own, even without the fun visual trickery. But
I really enjoy that Zankoff in chat said, "Is this made by the Echo Chrome people?" That's like that's the highest possible praise.
Right.
That's the highest possible praise. So it's not. This is made by Creator in Dreams, who now works at Media World to RBD Jellyfish /Tad. But obviously, very inspired by Echo Chrome. But it's just one person made this game in Dreams, which is pretty wild.
That's amazing.
got some love from Dreamers for Humanity in chat. We've had a Trix come along who's made some incredible stuff in Dreams. Z Exodus made a visual novel called Loon that I absolutely loved. Super talented,
It's
multi-genre creator, saying basically hello and I love your game. Oh, I've just lost it. Here we go. Hello, Enhance. Hello, all. Well done making Humanity Enhance. Lovely game. So we have a lot of
great.
Appreciate it.
crossover, I think.
Welcome, Dreams community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I will say,
yesterday.
I'm pretty sold on Dreams today, and I want to go through, like, just even the 3 puzzle games you recommended. Like, once I get hooked, I just want to go back to it, right? In this game.
Oh, you will get, you will. When you get invested, the hooks are hard to get out.
Yeah, exactly. Once you commit to a puzzle game, or at least for me, I just have to keep going.
Oh, you're gonna be in Dreams a while then.
Yeah, I think so.
But when you're ready to move out, maybe Jacob could talk a little bit about Essential Dreams.
Let's do it.
Something we put together for PS Plus, and that is a great place for people to start. On the play side, obviously, CJ, you're asking where do people start on the create side? As far as the play side, Essential Dreams pretty much has you covered. Maybe Jacob can pitch that in.
Yeah. So exactly as you said, Jen. Like for creators, there's obviously a bunch of cool templates and kits. But if you're just a player who wants to explore the Dreams platform, then if you go on Dream Surfing, also this is exciting. You've leveled up.
Yeah.
What
Love it.
ceremonious
Flash
day.
of colors. My endorphins are flowing.
The level up screen never gets old. It's always a thrill.
You're one
when
level
someone
away
levels up
from
the
getting
screen.
your persona.
Awesome.
Exciting.
Will it happen live? So if you go onto Dream Surfing, the first playlist you see is Essential Dreams, which is essentially a curated, very focused, about 25 to 30 creations that are we update roughly every week at the minute. We launched this alongside the Plus release and Tren at the start of August. And again, as we were saying at the start, obviously we've had 4 years or so of Dreams history to go through. So this playlist really is designed to give people the cream of the crop, kind of the games, the creations in Dreams that are really historically significant in Dreams' lifespan, or they represent genres that are really popular that people love, or they may be really nice recreations or evoke games that we know, again, our community and the PlayStation players really love as well. That's why we've got stuff like Slide out there, obviously, for instance, as an example. But we've also got like Rid there as well, which is a 20-hour open world game that evokes, stuff like God of War and Assassin's Creed, maybe. It's an absolutely mind-blowing scale, but then also mixed in with mini games as well, high score games. Obviously a bunch of Impy nominees in here, MM picks. As I said, it's about 30-ish creations, usually around that number. So you could get through this. I mean, there's some big games in here, like Trips Voyage. Again, it's like an 8 to 10 hour game. That was our most recent Creation of the Year winner. Just an absolutely marvelous 3D platformer. If anyone hasn't seen that, it's absolutely incredible from a creator called Euphalace, who also then got hired by Moon Studios as well. So they went on, because of Trips, into the games industry, which is absolutely lovely to see. So this whole playlist combined could take you, to be fair, like tens of hours, but it's also a really good place to start if you're just thinking, I just want to jump into a game like immediately. I don't know what to search for. I don't know what, I just want to see the best of the best, or I want to see like some really important landmarks in Dreams history. Like, let me see just what this Dreams thing's all about. This is a really cool, as the name implies, essential playlist, to go to first and take a look at. Before you go into stuff like genre pages and that, which are also hand curated, but there's a lot more there, so it can be a bit more overwhelming potentially for very, very new players. But yeah, there's a ton of great stuff here, and even like Lock Right There, which is one we mentioned earlier, an amazing puzzle game from 800 Pixel Gorilla. So yeah, we've got, again, representations from all genres in there, all kind of lengths from the high score game you could play in 5 minutes to the 20-hour open world game. There's a lot to get stuck into, and that's just that's the very first playlist. And also, of course, worth mentioning that the enhanced collection for the next week is also bannered at the top. I think it's the third banner along. It's up there as well. So if you're watching the stream, you're thinking, I'm gonna play some Cubic Maze or Bloomshine or other block-based puzzles, then it's right there on the front page too. So yeah, if you're a player and you just want to get stuck into stuff, obviously Tren as well as as we said, a must play. But there's lots to just like dive right into at the start.
I like the picture of choice.
We had to do the Shiba. I was thinking, like, what can we do? What's going to grab people? What's going to be the best representation? Of course, the Shiba, the cheeky Shiba.
I will say, I don't know, I can't remember the process, but the first stream I played was this Tectonic game. I think
it's a classic. People love Tectonic. I think it's one of those dreams that honestly perennially, we'll see people on Twitch or first time players, and Tectonic just has a pull. Like, people just really want to drive through an exploding city with ramps and falling skyscrapers. Like, it's got the fancy of that really appeals to just seemingly everyone.
Yeah, it's a super cool idea just for a racing game in general, right? Like, I like the second lap, or I think it's the second lap, right? That the earthquake starts to happen and it changes the way you have to play it. I think it's an awesome idea.
It's amazing, yeah. And again, you don't need VR to play Dreams. We're all playing it flat at the moment, but it is compatible with PSVR 1, and Tectonic is particularly good in VR.
Oh yes.
Like this thumbnail for Bullet Sponge. Another. I take the clickbait. I want to check this out.
Yeah,
now, so.
Bullet Sponge is fantastic actually. Though, yeah.
It's really nice to watch. Like, you see the Pig Detective team as well. People start to figure out, and we've tried to kind of give hints as well, and often we'll get in our analytics team. We wrote a little article about it as well, of like how to get people to kind of interested in the way your dream looks like, so people really think as well, kind of how they set up thumbnails to entice people in, or how they use the description and tags and stuff. So really, not just playing at being game developers on here, like they do the full thing, marketing and all. It's really, really cool to see.
Very cool. Well, I think we are over time actually, so is that right, CJ?
Yeah.
Such a rabbit hole. That's the trouble with dreams. We could go forever.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I did have one more question.
Go ahead.
that I really want to ask. In terms of like finding creations to curate, Dreams obviously has a big community, probably a lot of creations uploaded per day. Like, how do you go through what do you look for when deciding what to on that page?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably hand over Jacob for the day-to-day stuff, and I can maybe speak at a more macro level. But Jacob's our superstar on this.
Yeah, Dreams creation is definitely a mammoth process and very difficult, just like describing the game itself to describe succinctly. But day to day, it's very much, there's as we said, there's still a load of new stuff coming out, especially on PlayStation Plus. Now we've got a load of new users and players, and and creators, obviously. And it's just a case of, we obviously love seeing what's new. We have all our genre playlists that we add to on a very frequent basis, like practically daily. If we see new stuff, we'll add it to like the applicable genres, and we'll go through obviously both creators that we're following, but also just newest in general. We will go through just like newest streams, because there's always new creators coming in. Something we love to do on our streams is actually feature stream debuts and new creators, for instance. So we're always trying to look outside the box where we can. Dreams also lets you send creations to people as well. So we have a curation account called MM Curation, where people can just send us their creations directly to us and we get notified of it. That's a really handy way of people getting their creations in front of us. We obviously have streams every week where we showcase like a selection of some of the new additions to the playlist over the past week. But yeah, it's always a challenge because with Dreams, it's so many genres, so many types, obviously not just games, but whole multimedia, like how best do you represent art and music and games, which all demand like different time spans and attention spans and ways of reading that creation and interpreting it. It's definitely a challenge, and I think we've been pretty much at this for about 2 and a bit years now, and I feel like it's definitely come a long way since we started. And I think we still honestly have we still have things we can change and tweak and add to. The community's obviously been super helpful in working with us and giving us feedback on where we've done stuff really well and where we could be better, and I think that's been a really great part, an essential part of the process. So it's definitely very reactive. Obviously, Ali and I are always, my fellow curator, always checking, updating, tweaking. We do, again, one of the enhanced collection. We also do like weekly collections, trying to not just highlight genres, but like themes, and like we do like robots, or again like the dream homes thing mentioned earlier, because again there are some dreams that just are unclassifiable. We even did a whole weekly collection called that essentially was about games that didn't fit into our 12 genre pages, for instance, because we just have there's just so much that deserves spotlighting. So there is a lot of it's never like a straightforward process for sure, but and also it always changes depending on if there's any trends going off, or if there's like an event going on at the same time, like in the community, for instance. We also have I just realized I haven't even mentioned the Daily Dream Surf, which is our like daily playlist as well, where we have like 5 creations, much like the Daily 5 in Humanities. So we'll have like 5 creations every weekday where we'll try and feature a few games, an art piece and a music video or an album. Both from again established creators and my lights are going out again, so bear with
Oh
me.
my gosh!
both from established creators and also newbies as well. So we try and get as good a mix as possible. There we go. Let there be light. I will come back down. But yeah, so as good as mix as possible. And that Daily Dream Surf is on the front page. Obviously, I think it's the 2nd or 3rd playlist, depending on the day. So that, as well as like really prominently featured. So again, for established creators, it gives like new players the chance to see some real classics that they may have missed, especially with PlayStation Plus. But it also means that new creators or like smaller creators get that front page feature for a day or the weekend that they may not get otherwise in, say, like the Essential Dreams playlist, or even the genre pages, because there is so much in Dreams. Like, it's very difficult to find room for everything all at once, but we try our best. But yeah, it's definitely, I imagine, a very different beast to curating something like Humanity. But then also, I remember when we've chatted in the past, there's also a striking amount of similarities with the way like we try and organize things and spotlight different creators and stuff. So yeah, again, I said I would try and do it succinctly, and that was not succinct. But
There's no way.
It's probably the closest we could get.
You can.
Well, you do such an amazing job on Dreams. Like, people should hop in and check out just the of content. And you guys do such a great job, just like bubble. That's great to the top about the community. And before we end here, I wanted to just give you guys the opportunity, if people watching this want to hop into the Dream community, what are some places? Where should they go? Who should they follow?
So you can follow it in game, as I said earlier. You can follow the account Curation. That's a good one.
Oh, there goes Tom.
Now Tom's gone to follow Curation because he realised that he's not following it already, which is absolutely reasonable. You can go into in-game, follow
Curation.
You can follow on X, at least Twitter, whatever you'd like to call it. You can follow. I'm Jacob, which is JAY_COB. You can see Jen's on there. Ali's on there, but I'd say for in-game stuff, for sending creations and seeing what the playlist, like what collections we've made in game over the history of Dreams, Curation is the place to be.
Yeah, and I would jump in as well and say we have a really, really juicy, meaty selection of kind of mini reviews on our blog, The Insider. It's all specifically reviews and articles dedicated to Dreams and the Dreams community. We've got articles about like trends that pop up in the Dreamiverse and go to, why are we seeing so many backrooms games? We interview creators about why liminal spaces are interesting to them and kind of creations they've made around that. We do creator profiles where we interview people like Ghostfruit, or Half Up's another creator we've interviewed. And of course we have a weekly article as well called the Dreamview Weekly Roundup, where we also 5 selections from the Dreamverse and basically write little mini reviews of that stuff.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh no!
No, the stream's good. I was trying to fix the.
It's just Discord.
Yeah, it was just looking goofy.
So it's a good place to go if you are curious as to what is interesting and why. We have a very limited word count in game that we do as much as we possibly can with descriptions.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in the kind of what and why of what's interesting in Dreams, just go over to indreams.me and you'll see on the front page like a bunch of articles you can check out.
So many.
See what's interesting to play. So many.
So many loads. But there is a weekly roundup especially is like a personal favorite, like similar to the daily thing. You just get like a nice.
Wild. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to go far in Dreams, basically, and in the Dreams community to find a bunch of good recommendations, and even following a bunch of creators and curators in Dreams will lead you to where you need to be, much like a beautiful Sheba made of light.
Fantastic.
Segue. And on that note,
I want to thank you guys again. Jacob, Jen, and Tom, who is off doing something else. Maybe his lights went out as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's a common problem around here in the UK. It's like always in the dark.
Thank you so much for joining us and walking us through Dreams for our community as well. And hopefully people will jump from humanity into Dreams and vice versa. And we can create this sort of user-generated content constellation. Would be fantastic. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Austin, do you have anything you want to close with?
No, I guess thank you for showing me this awesome collection of games that I had a pleasure of playing or driving into for an hour.
And people can hop in right now and check that out. So yeah.
Yeah, just look for the Sheba,
Yeah,
the Sheba
go on the front page, look for the Sheba.
Cool. But with that, I think we can sign off. So thank you guys for joining us, and until next time. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
So great.
Bye-bye. Thank you.